Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today's pandemic project is brought to you by Sean. Sean brought me this reel. It's a Mitchell 306 and it's frozen. Now Sean did say he had it apart, couldn't figure it out. Just kind of put the parts back in and decided it was beyond him to try and work on this reel. Could I help him out? Could we find a way to make this reel work again? It's in beautiful condition, hardly any paint loss, but it's just not working right. So we're going to do a diagnosis of this, and we're going to see if we can help Sean out. We'll see if it's just a matter of parts out of place or if there's something broken in here that's caused the failure. And if it is, we'll try and rectify that. One of the shames of this reel, it's in beautiful condition. It's been filed down, so anybody who's a collector of a reel, not interested in this reel just simply because of that, despite all the other beauty in the good paint and everything else. To make that collectible, you would really have to replace this side plate with the reel foot in it. But that was done a lot because some of the newer rods don't have the width or the length to accommodate a handle like this, and so they filed it down and used a newer rod. All right, we're going to start by taking off the exterior pieces and parts, and as I do that, I'd like to thank our first responders and essential personnel, everybody who's involved in keeping us safe during this pandemic. We really do appreciate your efforts, and we really do thank you for everything that you do. That's all kinds of first responders and essential personnel, including law enforcement, first aid, and EMT, anybody in the medical fields, and certainly folks in the supply chain. And a special shout out and thanks to the folks that are distributing the vaccines. Hopefully sooner rather than later we'll all be able to get ours and improve our chances against this dreaded virus. So we've taken off the spool, I've taken off the handle. Kind of sounds like there is some things bouncing around inside there. There's only one screw that holds the side plate cover on this one. So we're going to take that apart and we'll see what's going on here. And we have our little adjuster out of the way there. This has got a planetary gear system in it. So this piece that was floating on the bottom belongs in here, and it belongs inside the two holes in the axle shaft, which are not aligned. So I'd like to think it's as simple as that, but it probably isn't. Let's take the axle shaft out. We'll take the block off of that holds that, the crossline block. We'll take our planetary gear out. And let's see if everything spins below that. Well, everything's spinning below that, so we have a good basis to start with here. I'm going to take the, I probably should have left that in. If I left the handle on, I can unscrew the, well, here we go. I'm going to try to get this nut off with a screwdriver. This is an offset. There you go. We're lucky. Most of the time you want to use a coin or a metal drag washer, for example. That would work once you do that. Okay, and once you take that off, the rest should be able to pull up. Now, there's a slot here that holds a Keyway, much like that 302, right here. So you want to make sure that's all clear, and then you should be able to, with a little effort, pick it up. Okay, so we got this off now. Next up then is to get that Keyway out of there, because if you don't pay attention to that and you lose that, you lose your ability to lock down your spool. So here's that Keyway I was talking about. Nasty little thing, but that'll go in the slot. We'll show you how to reinstall that. Little pieces and parts I put into my parts tray. It's the bottom of a milk jug. That helps me with that. And then we can keep moving forward with this. We have a little tie down here, which is holding our piece. We want to remove the ramp first. The ramp is held on by a screw. That's your trip lever ramp. You may need a micro screwdriver for this, depending on the width of your screwdriver blade. That's your little screw. And we have that ramp. Now we have to pull our pin here. That should enable us to pull the rest of the assembly up. There you go. Okay, so this is not a burring reel, but you'll see that's where that little pin goes in. So don't lose that pin, and don't forget about that pin later. It's going to go in like that and lock that in. I'm going to squirt this down, clean it up. I'm going to use a little bit of penetrating oil for the cleaning, and a paper towel. That should get the old grease and that off of there. So I'm not seeing anything here that says that other than having the axle shaft running the wrong way, that anything here is going to be incorrect in terms of how we do this. There's a hole in here, and I probably just committed a cardinal sin there. I got to make sure that the hole is oriented the right way, and I believe the hole goes to the top, looking at the spacing on the hole here, the mount hole, and where this gear is. Okay, I put that collar on because I was trying to get the spacing done. Let's take that collar off and put a little bit of grease in there. I'm going to use a fishing reel grease. It's Penn Precision Reel Grease. I recommend that you only use fishing reel greases when you are working on fishing reels. That's good. The gear looks like it's got a little bit of dirt in it, so I'm going to grab a brush. I'm just going to work that down to clear the channels on that. If you found that the dirt was a little stubborn, go ahead in with something like a toothpick, or in this case this is just a little metal micro pick, I guess, dental pick, whatever they were doing with them. Just clear all those channels, get that dirt out of there. And then we'll be able to re-grease this. There you go. That's pretty clean. I'm going to just hose that down quickly with that penetrating oil one last time. Just make sure it's nice and clean, which it is. Okay, so grease onto the threads or the ribs of this gear. Grease onto the body there. A hole goes in the top. We kind of determined that before. I'm going to just set that into my parts tray. All right, this was not the problem, but we can make sure that our bail is tripping while we have it here. It's tripping nicely. I like to use the penetrating oil on the seams of the bail. Now, there's only one side that's functional on this. That's this side. It has a spring. You want to make sure that it trips nicely, which it is. You also want to just kind of use this to loosen it up, and it's a nice kind of mousetrap snap to it. Just put that off to the side. Okay, when I was working on that pinion gear, I had put the handle back on so that I could hold the main gear in place. So I can take that off now. There is a little washer. Make sure that you know that that's on that handle. Now we can push our main gear through. On the surface, this main gear is in nice condition. There's a lot of old grease in the back, so it's a good thing that we pushed that out. I'm going to grab a paper towel first to see if I can't clear the channel that way. So if you like this kind of thing, I'm going to ask you to subscribe to my channel. And if you do subscribe, please hit the notification button. That way you'll see all of the fishing reels that I'm working on, and you'll be able to understand the step-by-step processes that I use to make these reels good as new again. You may find some that you actually have, and it'll show you how to service those and keep those running beautifully. And most of all, you'll gain an appreciation for the kind of the art, the manufacture, the design, the whole bit of these reels. Now, I work on all kinds of fishing reels, not just these old classics. I work on whatever comes into my shop, and that includes all of the latest reels. And again, if you like it, please subscribe. If you have a question on this reel or any reel in particular, and you want to see more, well, then you can leave a comment, and I'll try and answer your questions for you. And finally, if you like the video, please like it in the comment section below. All right, we've cleaned that up. Let's just go over and clean the old stuff off the back. Looks like we have a broken line in there, in addition to some other things, a broken piece of line. So let's get all of that out of the way. Change out that towel. Again, we can I use penetrating oil as a general degreaser. I don't use it as a lubricant. I only use a degreaser. Lubricants, I'll use a fishing reel oil, which is designed for marine usage and water. And we'll leave the penetrating oils to the cleanup kind of thing. And most of them say that they are designed for lubrication in addition to degreasing, but in my case, I don't like that as a lubricant. All right, same thing here. I'm going to grab that wire brush then, and I'm going to clean the teeth of the main gear. We've cleaned the back side of it. You want to check for damage on this. You want to make sure that they're not only uniform this way, but they're uniform this way as well. There seems to be a little bit of inside groove wear on this. We'll see when we go if it makes a difference. Just want to grab this pick and see if there's some more dirt in here. Oh, there may be, so let's just make sure we clear those channels. Okay, if there's a little whining going on with this one, it may be that there's some wear on this gear. We're going to see. Okay, let's start the reassembly process then. I think we've identified the issue. It was that the axle shaft was misinstalled, but we took our opportunity to clean up the reel. You want to get grease on the inside, which is where this carrier is going to ride. You want to get grease onto the teeth. We already greased the one side. For some reason I'm getting a little piece here of something. But grease that up good. And we want to grease up the back as well, and so that the shaft rides nicely into the case. I have the anti-reverse dog in the off position here because I don't want to wrestle with trying to get this in place. I'm going to use my oils now to oil that dog. Put that main gear in. I'm going to come over here and put our pinion gear assembly in that we've done. Notice that the hole is in the shaft here for that alignment piece. So you want to make sure as you're inserting this that you're also lining that the hole up with the... Go ahead and line those pieces up there. And you'll know you're in when you have that hole cleared on both sides. This little piece goes in next. That's going to hold the assembly together. And we have that little wire ramp piece. Now, this is a good place to tell you to take pictures along the way. It's very easy to confuse the orientations of this, what side's up, what side's down, things like that. If you're not paying attention, don't rely on your memory. Simply go in and take a picture. If you don't use the picture, that's wonderful, but more times than not, that picture has saved me when it's come to reinstalling something and I didn't realize exactly how it went. Okay, well, typical of me, I'm struggling with these small parts. This may be your cue to go for a cup of coffee, and I'll be done in a moment. Okay, looks like we got it started, and we now have a trip ramp for our bail. It's going to kind of ride up that ramp and snap as it goes in. Okay, so we've installed this, we've lined everything up, we've put the ramp on, we've put our tie down in for our pinion gear. Then there's this little guy. This is the Keyway, and this is always nerve-wracking. It's got a little round section and two flat sections. And you have to work to get that into the hole as a tie down to the so that the spool does not spin. So I use this pliers. Here's your hole right here, and you've got to press it in. Sometimes it's best pressed if you put a little bit of grease on there. I just dropped it the first time. I didn't get it seated properly. I'm going to grab that and put a little bit of grease onto the tip end of that. And this is where patience and everything plays a very important role in doing this properly. Still not getting it. All right. So first thing is you gotta get it into the hole. The second thing, now you gotta square it up. Now you can push it down now that you have it loaded. And you'll see that when you look underneath here, there's going to be a slot here that sets off to the side. That slot has to mate with the slot from the Keyway. This is a visual now. You want to just make sure as you're going in, you have it lined up, and that's it. When you do that, you feel a clip, you've got it. All right, that stops the spool from spinning. There's a similar feature on the Mitchell 302, a little bit different way that it ties the rotor in, but the 302 and the 306 share that keyway. And if you don't put it in, your rotor will spin independent. It won't lock down. All right, I'm just trying to get the collar nut on now. And then we can go down below and install that. It's an interesting little assembly. It doesn't use that the traditional nut kind of an approach. It's a plastic piece, and use a drag washer here. It's an elliptical slot here. There you go. All right. So now we turn our attention to the back side of this reel. First up is this little oscillating gear. It's got a flat side block on the one. You want to get some grease on that. Get it on the back. Get it into the teeth. And get it onto the front of this as well. You want to get grease all around because it's going to be rolling all around. You can insert that into the main gear. Next up then is to get that planetary gear. That's a housing. You want to get grease onto the back and into the tracks of that as well. Points go up when you go to install this, just like that. And then you want to rotate your gear so that your teeth mesh in the carrier. Okay. Now this is the block that was misinstalled. Same idea. Get the grease on the back, in the slot, and on the face of it, because that's going to do a lot of work. It's going to ride in a couple of different places. This is symmetrical, so it doesn't matter if it goes up or down. It's inside that carrier, as you can see here, and you must overlap that with that square piece. All right, next up then would be the axle shaft. I'm just going to wipe the old stuff off the axle shaft while I'm at it. You can see flat side, round side on this. This is what got misinstalled when the reel was kind of locked up there. Flat side goes in towards the gear, kind of opposite of what normally happens. Flat side goes in towards the gear. Then you want to align the two holes in that axle shaft so that you can get this little tie-down clip. And make sure that tie-down clip is all the way in, flush, just like that. All right, I'm going to just reattach the handle there. And you should be able to see a reel that's working now. There you go. Very nice all around on that. We can grab our side plate, put that in. And once again, I'll remind you, if you like this kind of thing, please subscribe. And if you do subscribe, Please hit the notifications. That helps you and me. I'll be able to see what videos I'm posting and be notified when a new one comes out. The subscriptions help to build my channel. If you have any questions on this reel or any reel in particular, please leave them in the comment section. I do try to respond to all. And if you like the video, please indicate that with a like as well. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. That was kind of a problem diagnosis on a Mitchell 306, and then how to take it apart and how to service it, including how to repair the defect there with the misinstallation of that axle shaft. So this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, wishing you good health. Please stay well, great fishing, and have a great day.